Mighty Body. How you doing, buddy? What's going on? Oh, hey, Kagome. All right. We are active today, aren't we? Good boy. Your turn. Good job. And as you should already know what it is, it's Tier List Tuesday. What's going on with y'all, big dog? And it is an amazing Tuesday. Tier List Tuesday to be exact. And I hope your day is going phenomenal. But if it just so happens to not be, don't let what happened at the beginning of your day ruin the rest of your day. Speaking of Tier List Tuesday, boy, we trying to bring it back as I have another amazing tier list that will give you so much information that you need. Jumping on in, we're going to go ahead and get into the Staples tier list, big dog, where we talk about some of the most important cards that should be in your main deck or sometimes even in your side deck if it can support it, so you can win those top meta matchups. So for the people that don't know exactly what a staple Yu-Gi-Oh card is, a staple Yu-Gi-Oh card is a generic Yu-Gi-Oh card that can be played in most decks without consequence. With that being said, we broke down some of the most popular staple Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and we're gonna give them into a list and better be caught with it. These are the cards that you better have inside of your main board so you won't be punished. Don't be that one goofball that gets caught slipping not playing these cards, because they are extremely important inside of this format. Next, we got the Saos. These cards are secretly really good. I wouldn't necessarily say that they're above the performers, but sometimes people don't peep how powerful these cards can be. Performers are just really good cards inside of this Yu-Gi-Oh format. If your deck can support them, it'd be well advised to be able to play them if you can afford the room. And then there are cards that take a lot of effort. These cards aren't necessarily bad. To be honest, I don't think any of these cards on this particular list are bad, but ultimately they take a lot of setup to be able to make them work. Really, really good in specific strategies. Then, of course, there's everybody's favorite. Oh no, what are you doing, baby? These are the cards that you should not be playing right now. Seriously, give up on playing these particular cards because they won't really do you anything. So starting off with our very first card, we're going to start talking about Blizzard. Now, Blizzard's a pretty good card inside of this Yu-Gi-Oh format, and for the people that don't know exactly what Blizzard does, is that it allows you to negate the activated effects of an opponent's spell card. Now, let me break this down to you, as some people may be a little bit confused about this particular card. If your opponent were to use a card like Forbidden Droplet or Lightning Storm on you, and you were to use Blizzard to negate the activated effects, your opponent would not be able to use that card again. Why? Because Blizzard does not negate the activation. It only negates the activated effects of said spell card and adds it to your hand. That being said, it is one of the best cards to be able to handle cards like Triple Tactics Talent, Forbidden Droplet, and Light Storm, and is a solid performer inside of this Yu-Gi-Oh format. The reason why I can't put it necessarily higher is because spell cards don't necessarily take a priority inside of this format. So while this card can get rid of some of the most deadliest spell cards in the Yu-Gi-Oh card game, those deadliest spell cards in the Yu-Gi-Oh card game aren't being played at a frequency that would merit you to main board this card, if you're understanding what I am saying. Not saying that you can't main board it and do fairly well, but it's not a, oh my god, this card is going to win type card right now. Moving on, Anti-Spell Fragrance is going to be a card that is, this is definitely better suited for your sideboard if your meta does have a lot of Sky Striker players or spell heavy players. But inside of your main board, because that's what we try to put staples, this card isn't necessarily that great. You're going to run into a lot of Predaplant Vert Anaconda making Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer. You're going to run into the Wandering Griffin Rider, which this card could stop for a turn, but ultimately there are better cards that you probably should be suited for your main board. If you are and can afford to play this card, your deck probably takes a lot of effort or is built around playing Anti-Spell Fragrance, so go ahead and play it. But for the normal run-on-the-mill deck, mainboarding Anti-Spell Fragrance and preventing you from using your spell cards to get back into the game, not always the greatest idea. Ash Blossom in Joyous Spring. Now, I actually make a hand trap tier list, which I probably should make another one. I don't know if I should make another one. Let me know down below in the comment section if that one is overdue and I need to make another hand trap tier list. But Ash Blossom in Joyous Spring is a solid performer Yu-Gi-Oh card. It is one of the better hand traps in the Yu-Gi-Oh card game, simply because it is generic. It hits just about every single strategy. Every strategy has a card that you can Ash Blossom, but in terms of power, Ash Blossom doesn't always do exactly what you needed to do, which is stop the opponent from playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Regardless, this is a card that if you are playing hand traps, this is one of the first hand traps that you should look into playing inside of your deck. Book of Eclipse. Oh man, this card, it's low-key good. Despite what a lot of people may believe, there aren't a lot of negations running around. Of course, there's Bron de Fleur running around, but outside of Bron de Fleur and Borreload Savage Dragon, oh, of course, Herald of Arclight too, there aren't too many monster negates or or omni negates, which are spell trap and monster negates running around. That being said, Book of Lunar Eclipse allows you to be able to flip monsters like Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer face down before he can probably want to activate his effect to destroy cards, or forcing him to activate his effect to destroy cards. It's a solid card in certain situations, as it does allow you to out some pretty cool cards in this game. Divine Arsenal, Zeus, the aforementioned Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer, and a couple of other cards, also forcing Wandering Griffin Rider to activate its effect. The drawback is that if you are playing that card, you're probably better off just playing Book of Moon. Book of Moon is incredible, and if I had to put these in an order, it'd probably go like this. But Book of Moon is incredible in this Yu-Gi-Oh card game. It allows you to dodge hand traps like Infinite Impermanence and Effect Veiler, while also serving as a defensive card, being able to prevent your opponent from using their monsters for a Link summon or an Exceed summon by flipping the monster face down, can prevent attacks, and of course, just dodges so many amazing cards in this format. Book of Moon is a solid performer if your deck can take advantage of flipping your own monsters face down, potentially gaining flip effects or dodging hand traps, and also stopping your opponent from linking and Exceed summoning, and of course synchro summoning when they really need to. Another thing I do want to point is that you cannot flip a token face down, guys, so you might want to watch out for that. This card also handles Token Collector too, so there you have it. Call by the Grave is our very first better be caught with it, boys. Call by the Grave is a phenomenal Yu-Gi-Oh card inside of this format because the hand traps have taken off. The most popular hand traps will probably have to go to Effect Veiler, Ash Blossom, and Joyous Spring. All of those cards are pretty much hit. Oh, Ghost Ogre, of course, Ghost Bell. All of those cards are hit by Call by the Grave with efficiency. Also, this card is amazing against Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer because it won't be coming back to the side of the field if you Call by the Grave it. Just make sure you don't plan on using your own Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer, because Call by the Grave does prevent that monster effect from being activated until the end of the next turn, something that I always seem to forget. If you guys catch me on Master Duel every single time, I'm looking like, yo, how come he couldn't do that? It's like Call by the Grave. I'm like, oh my God. I'm such a goofy goober with this card. Cosmic Cyclone. Cosmic Cyclone is sauce, guys. This card is ridiculously good. Now, one thing you do have to watch out about with Cosmic Cyclone is that if your opponent is mainboarding Artifact Lancia, which some players are starting to mainboard multiple copies instead of just that one copy for Artifact Dagda, what they do is that when you Cosmic Cyclone them, they chain Artifact Lancia, and then you're just like, well, at least I tried. But ultimately, Cosmic Cyclone is amazing. It banishes Outledge trap cards, so it doesn't go to the graveyard, so they'll get their effects. It banishes Artifact Scythe, so no double Scythe locking here if you can just banish the Artifact Scythe off the bat. It gets rid of some really good spell and trap cards, or some really powerful spell and trap cards, banishing them, preventing from reuse. But the most important thing about this card is that it only costs 1,000 life points. You don't have to discard any cards unlike Twin Twisters, and it permanently gets rid of the threats for those graveyard cards. Crossout Designator is also a sauce Yu-Gi-Oh card. There are tons of Yu-Gi-Oh decks right here or out there that are playing a lot of hand traps and are not necessarily immune to hand traps themselves. So why not play the card that allows you to play around those hand traps? On top of that, Crossout Designator is amazing in the mirror match Being able to banish your opponent's most important card with this card, preventing them from using their card, and then you just follow up and do other things, or if you already have an established board. This card can be outright unfair, and if you can fit it and are playing a deck like Ignister, or maybe a strategy that plays a ton of hand traps, Crossout Designator should probably come into your mind in the main board, if not the sideboard, to be able to stop some of those cards like Lancier or Droll that would hurt you. Dark Hole. I never thought I'd say this. Dark Hole is low-key sauce. Like, wow, we are in 2022. Actually, I'm sorry. Dark Hole is a lot of effort. And allow me to explain why because it's really a sauce card, but allow me to explain why it's a lot of effort. Dark Hole works best in a deck where you want your monsters destroyed. Keep in mind, both Dark Hole and Raigeki are at 3, so there's almost no reason to play Dark Hole over Raigeki unless you're playing a deck like Dinos and you want your babies destroyed in the process, or you want maybe a normal monster destroyed so you can trigger your Lost World. There's no reason to play Dark Hole over Raigeki unless it's that. And that would make it a lot of effort. I mean, because they're essentially the same price. They both come common, I believe. Yeah, Raigeki comes common. Like, so there really isn't a difference. So with that being said, obviously a card that does take a lot of effort because you have to be playing a specific deck to make this card work. Dark Ruler No More. This is another card that takes a lot of effort, and allow me to explain why. Players are playing cards that activate in the standby phase, or they're playing trap cards that allow them to freely activate. If you activate Dark Ruler No More, your opponent would probably activate a card like, let's say if you're going against Rocket Dragon Link, which is one of the best strategies in Yu-Gi-Oh! If you want to see a deck profile, let me know. You activate Dark Ruler No More to negate their board. Well, then they activate Dragon Maid Tidying in their graveyard, which is the trap card. Then they activate a card like Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss to negate the Dark Ruler No More. Players in decks are starting to do that more and more. You can't do it against a Phantom Knight strategy. They'll activate a Phantom Knight Fogblade, then activate the effect of their cards that they want to do, and then they'll continue to keep playing. With that being said, in the correct deck that doesn't care about those standby phase, draw phase interactions, Dark Ruler No More can really shine. A deck like Floodgates doesn't really care about Destiny Hero. Like, if you're not using it to destroy their cards, then they're perfectly fine with it. And Artifact Scythe is like, I don't really care, you know what I mean? So Dark Ruler No More is really, really good against that particular situation, but it just needs the right deck that only cares about those on-field monster disruptions and can thrive off of it. Doesn't really care about those standby phase interactions. I don't know how many times I have to say this, but Dimensional Barrier is a game ender. We are moving in a format where synchro monsters have become problematic. Players are starting to make Borreload, Savage Dragon, Herald of Arclights. They're starting to Exceed Summon and starting to do really crazy things. Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer is a fusion monster. And Dimensional Barrier kind of says, none of that, okay? Like, seriously, this card not only stops synchros, rituals, exceeds. We're not going to see a lot of pendulum decks out there. It literally stops every mechanic except for Link. It's not a card to be underestimated. It is one of the best cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! If not your main board, in your sideboard. Dogmatika Punishment feels like the very first, and it's very unfortunate to say it, but this card feels like the first, oh no, what are you doing, baby? And it's not because it's necessarily a bad card. This card goes good inside of a deck that does not, like, I think seriously, does not use his extra deck. If a deck genuinely does not use his extra deck, this card is fine. But even the best deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! And Flu Under East, they don't even play this card, and they don't need their extra deck, for real, for real. It's not necessarily good in Shut-All, the Shut-All Dogmatika deck, because taking out of your extra deck for an entire turn can literally be the deciding factor between the game. I'm actually going to go ahead and put in a lot of effort, because you have to place it inside of a deck that doesn't need its extra deck. That's not Flu Under East. You can play the Flu Under East, but it's almost like, dog, you already got so many amazing cards in Flu Under East. You don't even need this card. And you can't play it in Invoked anymore. That's really my biggest argument about this card. You can't really play it in Invoked anymore because you really need your extra deck. Players will curb stomp you if you just destroy 2 cards on their field and then you can't follow up with anything. Evenly Matched is a solid performer Yu-Gi-Oh card. Again, there aren't a lot of negations in Yu-Gi-Oh right now. Evenly Matched can solve a lot of those problems if you can get rid of that one Omni negate, which if you open Droplet Evenly Matched, you probably win the game. You activate Evenly Matched against like an Outledge deck, they lose a lot of cards, and typically they can't respond to that. It helps you with the game, and a lot of times they lose their recovery options. Forbidden Chalice is a solid performer Yu-Gi-Oh card. Does actually need to be required in the correct deck. Let me just put it actually in a lot of effort, because it does need to be in the correct deck. Decks that necessarily lose to like Prank Kids Battle Butler or something like that. That's where this card really shines. But against like Wandering Griffin Rider and Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer, yes, it stops the Wandering Griffin Rider. Can't really do anything when they're building the board, which is where the Wandering Griffin Rider is most important. And yes, it stops the Phoenix Enforcer, but you're going to need a genuine follow-up to banish the Phoenix Enforcer or address the Phoenix Enforcer that way, or you're not getting through with it. So next is, where exactly do I put Forbidden Droplets? So in theory, Forbidden Droplets is like on paper, Forbidden Droplets feels like this. It genuinely does. It feels like it's a card that you should not be playing. And allow me to explain. Just like Forbidden Chalice, players are really starting to figure out how to play around droplets. And just like Dark Ruler no more, if you don't send a trap or a spell card, they'll activate as trap or a spell card, and then they'll have a face-up negation card. I keep going back to Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, but there are so many other monsters like that that'll just negate the droplets, and then you lose all that for nothing. Then there's also the players that are playing in the draw phase and the standby phase and forcing you to droplets cards. And then they'll just follow up with other cards. It just feels really bad sometimes to droplets and not get enough value out of it. The most important thing about droplets is that Herald of Arclight is a Yu-Gi-Oh card, and some of the best combo decks are making Herald of Arclight. You won't be able to send monsters from the hand to the graveyard with droplets, which kind of hurts a lot, because, you know, they're normally going to summon more than one negation card. There's your Herald, there's like Borreload, and you can only send one monster to the graveyard, so they'll just negate it with the other one, and it's like, can't really do much with droplets in that sense. But droplets is still and then there's cards like decks like Floowandereeze that don't care about droplets. But droplets is still a better be caught with it against decks like Prank Kids, being able to droplets the Battle Butler. It's just so many instances where droplets is just a good card. Sometimes you want cards in your graveyard, and droplets definitely helps. A lot of times it becomes extremely free. One thing I want to say is that if you cannot afford Forbidden Droplets, don't fret. It's like the worst time for droplets right now. But if you can afford Forbidden Droplets and you have Forbidden Droplets, yeah, you can go ahead and put them in and you can get away with playing them. Goes in Match. Goes in Match. Goes in Match feels weird. Okay, like, so I'm gonna put it in a lot of effort, because Goes in Match can perform against some of the top decks, but the problem is your deck needs to be performing well. And if you're playing one of the top decks that can't use Goes in Match, then obviously it's that. A deck that comes to mind that can play Goes in Match really well is Earth Machine. And the reason why this card is so good is because you combine it with other Floodgates, and then that's where you bring the true essence of Goes in Match, that true punish-like style. But if you're not if you're just playing Goes in Match without any type of like other Floodgate cards, it will struggle. Harpy's Feather Duster is solid performer in this Yu-Gi-Oh card game. Lots of back row decks. Outlich. It solves one of the Outlich equations, and decks like Floowandereeze 100% need to be main porting it. Ice Dragon's Prison is low-key sauce. Yo, this card is amazing. Have you ever hit a Destiny Hero Celestial and a Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer with this card? Yo, it is. Dog, it is the biggest sauce ever. It also works fairly well against Outlich, special summoning an Ash Blossom and then banishing the Golden Lord in the Ash Blossom. That feels good. And against Sword Soul strategy, special summoning the Shuda and banishing a worm monster like there's Sword Soul Shao Fang. No, it's not that one. It's I cannot say this card right now. Sword Soul Shishao. That's what the card name is. It feels really good. Ice Dragon's Prison actually is a saucy Yu-Gi-Oh card. Infinite Impermanence is a performer Yu-Gi-Oh card as well. It does dodge triple tactics talents. That's one of the better things in here. Lightning Storm. Oh my God, guys. Lightning Storm is ridiculous. Because Lightning Storm it's Harpy's Feather Duster when you need it against back row. It's also Raigeki. And Raigeki is like, yo, Raigeki is ridiculous right now. So definitely this card's really, really good right now. It's amazing. Mind Control is a saucy Yu-Gi-Oh card where you either force your opponent to negate, which is perfectly fine. You normally play enough extenders to keep playing, or you take one of your opponent's like cards and you kind of do things with it. Like imagine taking either Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer. They'll almost never let you do this unless they've already used this effect. You can take their Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer and then you can link off with it. You can synchro with it. You can make Dark to Dark Charmer, then summon it back to your side of the field, then link again to a Nightmare Unicorn. And if you have another extender, well, boom, there's your access code talker. And you don't have to worry about Phoenix Enforcer coming back because a lot of times it'll be game. So this card's actually really, really good. Not a lot of negations on the field. Mystic Mind. Mystic Mind should be, oh no, what are you doing, baby? You shouldn't be playing Mystic Mind. But to be objective, there are a lot of negations out there, or enough disruptions for Mystic Mind because it is a face-up continuous spell and trap card. If you guys have not been noticing right now, its continuous cards kind of get the low end of the stick right now. Not only are there cards like Lightning Storm, Cosmic Cyclone, just back row destruction, and Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer, there's also they don't necessarily like these floodgatey like trolley cards aren't doing enough right now. Needle Ceiling is a solid performer because the problem with Needle Ceiling is that you destroy Destiny or Phoenix Enforcer, obviously it uses effect. But the good thing about it is like, let's say if they have the Wandering Griffin Rider and they activate it as Chain Link 2, well, you Chain Link 3 Needle Ceiling and they can't negate whatever you were trying to do. So that's really good. But other than that, it's an okay card. So is Paleozoic Dynamiscus. It does have good spots, like being able to banish Phoenix Enforcer if they didn't destroy it with Phoenix Enforcer. Banishing cards it also banishes face-up cards too, so you can banish like Eldritch trap cards. It's like Cosmic Cyclone, and you don't have to discard a card until it resolves, so that's really good. Raigeki. Never would have thought in a million years that we'd be back saying that Raigeki is sauce. And here's the reason. Again, there are not a lot of negation cards, and sometimes you just want to wipe your opponent's board. Raigeki them. It's that simple. And the fact that Raigeki is not even a once per turn. You just Raigeki again. Like it's kind of ridiculous how good Raigeki is in this particular Yu-Gi-Oh format. Not like an overly powerful card, but if you guys are on a budget, can't afford Lightning Storm, Raigekis are not that bad. Moving on, Rivalry of the Warlords is a lot of effort. Again, we're in a format where those continuous cards need babysitting, and you don't want to necessarily do that in this particular format, but if you guys can set these cards up and protect them, they're really, really good. Oh my God, Salesban. Salesban is low-key sauce. Salesban is low-key sauce. A lot of people like sleep on Salesban. A lot of people don't understand that Salesban stops already face-up cards on the field, unlike Prohibition. Like, that's amazing. Like, use this, declare DP. You know what I mean? Like, it's good in that essence. Salesban also allows you to use cards like Lightning Storm and Evenly Matched because it's no longer face-up on the field. Salesban definitely has a place. And if you don't play the card in your deck, then you're really not losing anything from Salesban. This card, especially like in a game where you know what they have, you know what they're adding, Salesban it. Boom. Now you know you can't be hit by that for that turn. You can pop off. Skill Drain is a lot of effort, contrary to popular belief. Now, Skill Drain actually does solve a lot of its own problems. Like, you know, Anti-Spell, Rivalry, and Gozen can't stop DPE. Skill Drain can. You know what I mean? Like, Skill Drain chained to a DPE, and a DPE just kind of gets sad. You know what I mean? The problem with Skill Drain is, again, people are starting to main ward that back row destruction, so you need to be able to protect that Skill Drain, and you can't protect it with your monsters. Solemn Judgment. Solemn Sauce, more likely. Come on, guys. Solemn Sauce. That's pretty much what he is. Big play cards deserve big play attention. Spell Trap Monster. Judgment gives it detention. Boy, Cali the Rapper. But yeah, Solemn Judgment definitely stops a lot of big plays in Yu-Gi-Oh! And that's why it goes into the sauce category. If you are playing a deck that plays like these cards, this card should probably be inside of your main board. It's a really good card to be able to protect it, but also stop some of the opponent's most important plays. Solemn Strike is just a solid performer. Not really bad, not really great. Can't stop Destiny or Phoenix Enforcer already on the field. Does a good job of dealing with Wandering Griffin Rider. Does a fairly good job at dealing with a lot of monster threats. But again, it's a trap card. It's slow. These trap cards can be reactive whenever you kind of want to. Like, you can flip up an Ice Dragon's Prison. May not be the most convenient time, but you can flip up an Ice Dragon's Prison and disrupt them. You can flip up a Deep Barrier almost any time you want to. This card is just so good, it just stops stuff. This card is a little more restrictive, you know what I mean? So, solid card. Same thing with Summon Limit. If you go first and you get Summon Limit off, you can win against some of the best decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! But the problem is, not only do you need to watch out for cards like Vishuda, because Vishuda does out all these for the Tingy strategy. You need to watch out for cards like Lightning Storm, Cosmic Cyclone, and whatnot. Yeah, that could be a problem. And you can't summon more than twice too, which is something a lot of competitive decks like to do. Solemn Judgment, or Solemn Warning, I'm sorry. I actually... It's not a oh no, what are you doing, baby? It's definitely a really good card. It's a really good card. Contrary to popular belief, this card's really good, but I can't think of too many times right now where you would want to play this card or this card or this card, because this card stops the vert when it uses effect. This card can stop the Fusion Destiny, but there aren't a lot of there aren't a lot of fusion spells. This card can actually stop Right of Mace here, so that's pretty good. Like, you know what I mean? It's not bad, but correct deck, guys. Correct deck. Super Polymerization. Oh my god. Especially when we get the Desmia out, or the Albaz structure deck. Oh my god, this card. Yo, this card is correct. We are in a dark format, guys. Starving Venom is free. A lot of players are just leaving Predator Vert Anaconda and their Destiny Hero Phoenix Enforcer on the field. Super polyed them, dog. The best thing is if you brick with like a Celestial and your opponent has DPE, you normal summon Celestial, they're like, all right, like, what are you doing? You super poly their monster, you summon your own, and you're like, bro, it's like the best feeling ever. The exact same thing goes for There Can Be Only One. Requires a lot of effort. Torrential Tribute, solid performer Yu-Gi-Oh card. Being able to blow up the whole field, especially when your opponent wants to go into their big combo, is good. But if they already have an established board, odds are this card's not going to pop off. Triple Tactics Talent. I kind of want to put Triple Tactics Talent and better be caught with it, because again, we're in a hand trap format. If your deck is a combo deck or can play through hand traps with the correct cards, or already has the combo, you Triple Tactics Talent them, look at their hand, you get all the information you need, maybe follow up with a Conscription or a Salesman, that's the real name. And then keep following up. You know what I mean? You can take monsters. It's a really, really, really good card. Twin Twisters. Twin Twisters are for the decks that can't deal with back row. Like, if you can't deal with a back row heavy deck, then you sideboard Twin Twisters, but it's a better sideboard card. And then lastly is Warning Point. Where exactly would I put Warning Point? Warning Point is a slower trap card. It feels like this. Warning Point will feel like Solemn Judgment in your games. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because Warning Point's actually a fairly good card. Like, it's fairly good because now it negates the effect, prevents them from doing anything with it. Problem is that you need to wait for a summon, kind of like how Solemn Judgment needs to wait for a summon. That's why I said it feels like trap cards, but that's pretty much all that we have for our Staples tier list. It was exciting to give you a Staples tier list again. And if you want to see more tier lists, go ahead and let me know, because it's Tier List Tuesday. Really hope you enjoyed it. And of course, if you want to see more amazing content, go ahead and check out these videos, as I'll catch you on the next one.